Are you wondering how you can contribute to Funniest Thing?
Don't flip out. Go to patreon.com/funniest thing.
Whoa!
Oh!
That would have been crazy.
Are you ready for a revolution in your thinking?
We are.
I'm Darrell.
I'm Ed.
And what's today's episode, Ed?
Today's episode is called Wonderful Outcomes Are Unfolding with David McClure. Believing that life is innately good, we more easily find ourselves in the right place at the right time. Even though it may not be apparent to our eyes, our heart's wisdom encourages us to remain open and receptive. On this episode, Darrell and Ed rally listeners to supplement their faith with affirmations of gratitude in advance, knowing this opens us up to receive the good we desire. And during the second segment, Dynamite David McClure gets us all envisioning the best outcomes for ourselves with today's reading, Optimistic.
Now, I believe you have a great reading to kick off this episode.
Shall we just kick it off?
Yeah.
I got to tell you.
Because I'm excited to get to the David McClure portion of this episode.
David McClure was kind enough to pray us in the beginning, and I can really feel that he is part of, we don't talk about this way, but like the lineage of wisdom that has led to this show because of the way he informed and blessed and taught you in the very beginning at Unity. It's amazing that he's here now and that we're here now. And it's just like, I can feel the connection. It's amazing. Crazy. It's truly a blessing.
If I think about it too much, it's just overwhelming.
I know. I was feeling it. I was feeling it. So Michael Schoonover from Unity Way Church down in Vista sent us, his weekly spiritual propaganda. I see Indy out there nodding. It sounds like he might have got it as well. Yeah, so he sent us a reading from June of 1971 from the Daily Guide to Richer Living. It was on a Tuesday. It said, Tuesday the 1st of June, we live in the divine presence. We live in the divine presence. Our experiences are the externalizations of our thoughts. The thought we start with will continue to manifest throughout the sequence of events which come from it as long as we persist in it. A principle is involved. For instance, if we take the color red, we can make all sorts of modifications and bring out orange, purple, and brown, but the red basis will show itself all down the scale of color. So with mental negatives or positives. Therefore, we should start with the affirmatives of life, ideas of health, prosperity, understanding, and empathy. These will form into the lovely shapes and molds which will bring out our best interest and goals in the days ahead. We are to realize that we live in the divine presence, and from the center of life, we move into right experiences. If it feels right, we'll read the affirmative prayer at the bottom, but I want to get the show moving.
Yeah, well, that's why we always recommend and why Darrell and Ed always do a morning routine.
Yeah, have to.
In the beginning, 37 years ago when I started, right. And I was only 23 at the time. I was in the military, so shifts change.
Mm-hmm.
But I would still make the time I committed to doing this out of desperation in the beginning because I was my life felt unbearable. And my circumstances were corresponding to that within me because it was the way I was thinking about life. I thought it was a battle.
Right.
And it was just, I was losing. And I was introduced to this stuff. And if you listen to the show before by a friend of mine, Mike Dugan, and he told me, he put it, bluntly, he said to me, he gave me some things to read, that were they didn't set off any alarms. One of them was the Daily Word by Unity, a couple other
Around the Year with Emmett Fox, right?
Around the Year with Emmett Fox, and a couple other prayers that didn't belong to a specific denomination.
Right.
So, I was like, okay. But what got me to do it was he said two things. One, he said, because I guess I looked, even though I was desperate, he could read my face. And my face, it was obvious to him that I had a lot to do in the morning before to go to work, my uniform. And all that. Like, are you kidding me? I'm going to read all these prayers. But he said, Let me just ask you something. First of all, I timed it just for you, and what I just suggested to you to read only takes 7 minutes. And then he said, listen, I'm just going to tell you this. If you can't wake up just 7 minutes earlier to be kind and loving to Darrell,
Right.
then there's nothing anyone can do to help you. And for some reason, that struck me. But he followed it up with something that motivated me even more than, holy cow, like hearing from another man that it's okay to love myself. But then this was the motivating factor. When he said, look, I don't care if you believe in this stuff at this point or not, but I could just tell you, if you do this for the next 30 days,
Yeah.
before you shower, before you put on your uniform, just you get up, you get your coffee, sit by yourself, and read these prayers,
Right.
read these things I suggested. Even if you don't believe it, I guarantee you within 30 days, your entire life will transform for the better. And I was sold. Simply because, and this is the great reality of living this way. I wanted to believe, it felt to me actually, before I even say I wanted to believe, it felt like, what a relief. I mean, just reading these morning prayers, committing to this, felt to me in that moment so much more palatable than trying to get these guys to do this and trying to figure this out here, like how I lived my whole life. You know what I mean? Managing, how am I going to get? And I said, all right. The reality was within 15 days, things started to change incredibly for the better. 30 days, miraculous things started happening. And I've been hooked ever since. I mean, I've finished 4 more years because I extended in the service, committing to this, and now married. I get up before my wife, since she's known me. I get up before her so I could have this time by myself.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: once you start doing it, and it's not a superstitious thing. I don't want people to think, he still read those same little prayers, because you could turn it into a superstitious.
Yes.
Oh no, I didn't say my prayers. I mean, some days there had to be short and formed, especially when I was in the military, and I used to be concerned about that.
Right.
And Dugan Restoring, he goes, no, this isn't superstition.
Right.
Your willingness to do it is connecting you, and your desire. So since then, it's grown.
Yeah.
Because I have the ability to spend more time on it. And it's in those moments when I wake up and my old mind seems to be the one that wakes up before me. I want to say not always, but even when I'm in bed getting up, I always like to tell myself some sort of positive affirmation.
Yes.
Although my old way of thinking doesn't really swallow it fully.
Sure.
But once I make my coffee and start doing these readings, I can't imagine living without doing these things.
100%.
Because just like what you read, and you'll hear this everywhere. I mean, coaches say it. We've heard, if you're on Instagram, you'll hear 1 out of every 10. How you start your day sets the tone for the whole day.
Right.
It's true. It's true. And it colors your day.
Yeah.
And one of the ones I read this morning, 2 of the things I wanted to contribute that go along with today's reading is optimism. And I'm going to read this first. I wasn't going to read this first, but I read it to you in the beginning.
Let's hear it.
Because a lot of times people think optimism is cheap, Pollyanna. You got to be serious about things.
Yeah.
Well, the irony is, just like I said, how things seem to miraculously change, because it really is an inside-out job. Once you start living this way and committing to it, which is the most difficult part throughout your day, to keep my mind toward the positive and not dwelling on the negative.
Right.
The change always occurs for the positive.
Yeah. Well, I think that's when you're talking about the coaches, the Instagram thing. I think why that can be a slippery slope with certain people, is that they're not changing the central fear-based. They're turning it into another way to be in control. And really, the way when we practice this stuff, it's about releasing to control, to realize that we are loved, that the nightmares we're thinking were never true, and that we're opening up to this greater power.
Yes.
And that it's subtle, but it's not really subtle when you start practicing. I can feel it immediately from any teacher, whether they're coming at it from selling it to kind of convince you that you're going to really be in control. This is not even about that at all. This is about transforming my whole mentality every day to realize I don't even want to be in control in that way. I want to be loving.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that's the thing. These readings, when I mean it's not a superstitious practice.
That's right.
Just by doing those readings, I'm saying 3 things to myself, just a willingness to do it. When I sit down now, it's really, I'm probably in psychological terms, it would be considered psychosomatic, because now that I know how it works so well to do my morning routine, that even if I don't have a good night's sleep, or I'm injured, or I have an illness, I still make myself do my morning routine. And every single time, as soon as I'm on the couch with my coffee and those books start opening, it's like my subconscious mind feels exactly what Mike Dugan asked me, only now I'm living it, which is I'm being kind and loving to myself. And already my mood starts to elevate. And as my mood elevates, the healing that's required in my body or in my mind also starts to take effect. It starts to engage. But it's so much more than that. This was just a little reading from a book called Believe You Can. It was a silly little book I got at an airport by John Mason on a trip home. I actually found the receipt in the book, Ed, and I got it in Newark Airport, July 11th, 2012, on my return trip to LA.
My son just flew into Newark yesterday.
Nice. Every time zeal and passion are discussed, someone brings up balance. Balance itself is a tremendous virtue, but its immediate neighbors are apathy and weakness. If the truth were known, being balanced is and this is so true from people that say, who give us sometimes have a weird reaction, like, I don't want to be that woo-woo.
Yeah.
Or they'll say, I like what you're saying, but I just can't live that. I can't be positive all the time.
Right.
It's like, well, I'm naturally not positive all the time, but I work to have faith in this power, which makes me feel optimistic most of the time.
Yeah.
And then my circumstances reflect that.
And it really is a big difference between what the Fillmores taught and what a lot of people teach, is what you're describing now.
So here it goes. If truth were known, being balanced is usually an excuse for being lukewarm, indifferent, or neutral. 3 traits that are always attached to failure. Enthusiasm can achieve in one day what it takes centuries to achieve by reason, Proverbs says.
Wow.
William James said, and this is the truth, William James said, perhaps the greatest discovery of this century is that if you change your attitude, you could change your life. When your enthusiasm increases, stress and fear in your life diminish. Mike Murdoch said, what generates passion and zeal in you, that naturally, whatever it is a clue to revealing your destiny. And destiny means destination. What you love. So what you naturally love. I'm reminding myself of this.
Right.
Because some things I really love are simple, and I think that's not enough.
Yes.
But that's more than enough, because that's going to lead me or continue to please me within, and things improve. What you love is a clue to something you contain. And regarding attitude, Reverend Ike sums it up best, which when he said, there's very little difference among people.
Yeah.
But that little difference makes a big difference.
Yes.
And that little difference that makes a big difference is attitude.
Yes.
And having belief in a higher power of God that's all love,
Yeah.
all good,
Yeah.
it makes it easier for me to relax my grip.
So true.
And then it ends up being a self-fulfilling prophecy because the demonstrations always confirm, holy cow, this stuff really works. It must be true.
Yeah. You know, I want to hear the shot in the back reading, but I also want to say that that attitude thing is so important because I'm learning in a new way, in a new time in my life, that a lot of the things that I thought where I was doing to help were actually just kind of digging further into problems in the past. And like, so this week I tweaked my kind of hip lower back surfing, and my lips got cooked surfing in the sun, and all this stuff was going on in my brain. It was like, and I was like ready to hunker down again. Even though 2 weeks ago I got sick when we were down, when we didn't do the show. And I learned that time, like, stop digging, man. At first I was like, I'm going to dig in and find what this is all about. Eventually I was just like, relax and let God do the healing. Relax. And then the same thing, I got the thought when my hip, like, my wife was like, well, you know, you've also, like, I was thinking, oh, it's because of this. And I read this, and this is the, like, mental, emotional, this, you know, the spiritual
lady,
stuff.
Nose rings.
Yeah.
Daddy issues.
Yeah. That's not actually what she said. She actually proved helpful, but say what you will. But the thing that I even told my wife, I got to stop just trying. I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to let God do the healing. My intuition was telling me, focus on everything else and appreciating everything else, and this will heal on its own. And so then I went to see your friend Dr. Lawrence yesterday, South African physio, like physical therapy, healer, naturopath. And he turned out, you've probably told me this before, he worked on Sean Thompson, this professional surfer who won the world title. He's like, oh yeah, we got him to the world title that year. And he's worked with other pro surfers that I know about. And I've always wanted to meet someone who has just understands that.
Yeah.
And he's been doing it 39 years. He's got this amazing thing. He just I laid on the table after we talked, and he could feel wherever there is swelling and inflammation, and he massages it, gets that blood flowing and everything. And he told me the thing that made me think of this idea of do everything else, take care of everything else in my life, and let God heal the thing that I think I need to work on so much. That's what Butterworth and then would say, treat the concern, let go of the concern.
Yes.
So, and at the end of my session with him, he told me, now don't stretch or do anything to this for 2 days. He said, you're only going to make it worse. Just relax and let it heal, and you should be fine in 2 days. And it was like the universe, all the stuff I'd been kind of thinking and intuitively, he was just said it in a nutshell, because he's very intuitive as well. I don't know if he calls it that or what, but it's magic watching him, hearing him just feel his way through these very subtle things. But he healed your neck in a way that the medicine, with the machines, they couldn't even figure out, right?
Well, no, just real quick. A little over 10 years ago, I didn't know what happened, but I had excruciating pain down my left side, and it was horrendous. I went to the hospital. I was at UCLA. They didn't know what, they're doing all sorts of MRIs.
Well, it's important you say that, because they were using the technology that science has, that medicine has. They were using everything that they had.
So they took MRIs, they gave x-rays, and then gave me bottles of pain pills, which help treat the concern. They don't really get rid of the pain, but it does treat the concern.
Yeah.
However, nothing was changing, and then two of the doctors said, you got a bad herniated disc, and if this doesn't get surgery, if you get into like a little fender bender, you could be paralyzed. So I was like, oh my God. And the pain was so bad. I was talking to a friend of mine, Cliff, who was an athlete from South Africa, and he said, you got to go see this guy, Dr. Lawrence. I go to Dr. Lawrence, and I go in there, and he lays me on the table. I just tell him I got this severe pain down my arm, and they're not sure what's going on. He goes, all right, don't worry. He doesn't let you really say much. So I lay down. He feels around. He goes, oh, yeah, I know what the problem is. It's right here. You got a herniated disc between C7 or whatever it was. And I said, how did you know that? I go, they took like 6 MRIs and 2 X-rays to figure this out at UCLA. And he goes, well, all the doctor had to do was feel, and you could feel it's here. So I said, well, they say I need surgery, and I got this pain, and well, I need surgery. He goes, no, we can fix this right up. He fixed it. He fixed it. I mean, it's incredible that I didn't need surgery.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the beauties of living this way is that we trust our own inner feeling, just like he can feel it. We can feel if something is right for us or not right for us, and keep following that thread. And it's just like he ended up being, and you told me, and you said, you just texted me, go today. So I was like, you know what? I'm not even going to argue. And I ended up going the next day. He had an appointment. It actually ended up getting me out of a work meeting early. And he was like the perfect answer. Because again, I've always wanted to meet someone who had the expertise to understand surfing and how to support myself. It was just beautiful.
Well, and I want to let the viewers know, because if I heard this show, I'd be thinking, the scared part of me would be going, okay, they're lucky. They met somebody. But what about me if something happens? Well, here's the great thing. The overall optimistic attitude is what keeps us open for these people to be suggested by other people, or we just meet them serendipitously at the right time. The morning routine keeps us open enough in this vibration that these opportunities do not just go by, or we become so fearful and headstrong into going down a road which will cause more problems. Last week, our episode talked about how we could look back over our lives and see that there was always someone who who showed up, who cared for us, especially in my life, because I didn't have parents since a very early age or family. But looking back, it's not a horror story. It's actually a miraculous tale of how the right people God put in people at the right time to say a kind word or direct me to a thing or suggest something. And just last week, to prove that this works, we leave the show. When we wrap up the show, we're so excited. We're so full of optimism because of the things we've been discussing. We went to eat lunch, and my tire was getting low. The little alarm came on.
That's right.
So I thought we'd chance it, go one other place. Maybe it's just a slow leak. Who knows? We get there. Long story short, it's going real low. So my own mind was telling me, okay, the tire shop by your house is closed on weekends, so just get the car, get air in it, take it home, and you get it fixed on Monday.
Right.
It looks like you'll have to skip going to Unity in Santa Barbara on Sunday.
Right.
So I said, all right, I could deal with that. Stephen Tom Thorpe calls, and I tell him, oh, my tire, I'm just going to get fixed. He goes, why don't you see about a tire shop out there? And I didn't even consider that.
Right.
So I just go on map, tire shops, call the closest one up. And this is what I mean. When you throw this love out there, everyone's your friend. That's what I'm saying. All these strangers in my life were friends, were angels. They already loved me as much as a family member.
Right.
And you can say, well, how do you know that? Because look where I am today.
Yes.
So God's love is coming through. So the guy's name was Jeff. I said, I think I got a nail or something. He goes, well, all we can do is fill it up because we're backed up today. Bring it down. I'll fill it up with air. I go down and we'll take a look at it. I go down there. He fills it up with air. He goes, yeah, you got a nail in here. I go, well, can you do it today? I could wait because I live on the other side of the hill, which is like 10 miles away. And he says, no, not today. But he said, oh, there's a guy called, oh God, whatever it is, Santa Maria and Son, or whatever the name of San Fernando and Sons tire. It's Ma and Pa, and they could probably plug it today.
Right.
So I go, okay. I call them. I get down there. The guy goes, oh yeah, just pull it right there. Fixes the tire. His name's Eduardo, which is Ed's name. And my only concern was, I hope this is within my $40 because I want to tip him with cash.
Yeah.
It was only $20. I was like, are you kidding me? I gave him a whopping tip. And I was like, I can't believe we were just sharing this on the show.
Yeah.
And this is real life evidence. Like, that could have went a million different ways with my old way of thinking.
Yeah.
But by living this, and unity is a practice. It's living by these spiritual principles.
Right.
But that's why this optimistic attitude is not just Pollyanna.
Right.
It really is. I want to say optimism to me, if I had to define it, is faith with feeling within me.
Yeah.
Faith with feeling within me that all things come together for good. I wonder what wonderful things is going to come of this. And there's always someone who is going to be there to be loving, kind, and helpful.
Yeah.
And it works.
That's amazing. Let me share a couple things that we have. We got some postcards from Lois Conklin. If you want to send us a postcard, funniest thing, P.O. Box 1312, Culver City, California, 90232. Lois says, love stretches your heart and makes you big inside. And that's from Margaret Walker. Hi, Darrell and Ed, sending love and blessings to you and Indy, to a CHOBO. Here's another postcard. Crazy art. Last 2 cards were lost, I guess. We'll keep sending them. Take care, Lois Conklin. We got another one here from her that says, one small positive thought can change any circumstance. Love the show with Kathy Norman. Glad to meet her and her mother through you two. I've listened to Sunday services with them. You do introduce us to so many wonderful people. Was in Madison, Wisconsin for granddaughter's lovely wedding, and was with so many wonderful people from across the U.S. Sending love to you all at CHOBO Studio. Funniest thing. Love, Lois. We got a Leslie Laird sent us a postcard, says, what I want to say is I love you both dearly. Peace be with you. Love, Leslie Laird. And it turns out this, after all the encouragement, this is the first. Darrell's always encouraging us to send postcards to people, make them feel that love. And this is the first one she's sent out. So thank you, Leslie. We're honored.
Yes.
This was wild. We received 2 daily words from May of 1980 in this envelope with a postcard that says, guys, I found a wormhole to send you these to you because I need you to keep unity alive since he said he's not too happy with the full state of unity at this moment. Do you see what it says here?
Yeah, who's it from?
It's from Charlie Fillmore, apparently.
Fillmore found a wormhole in the galaxy and sent us that.
He said unity. Yeah, so he and he sent us these from 1980 to make sure we remember what unity is really all about. Because sometimes, the spirit can ebb and flow a little bit. So Charles wants us to know that he loves us. Let's take a 3 deep breaths here. You remember what we're doing here?
Yeah, because then we're going to be bringing on
This
David.
actually changed my life this morning because, I did my morning routine and everything else. And I love the fact Charles Fillmore and Unity emphasize, especially in those early days, emphasize zeal.
Oh, it's the best.
That's why I hear what that guy's saying about balance. And if you know what balance is and that means something wonderful to you, don't take offense. This is just a way of looking at that. Sometimes people don't understand that this is about letting go of control and aiming for zeal. Some people think I used to think it was peace, but peace was another, for me, the twisted version of it was, if I can stop all my thinking and, it was about, it turned into a form of holding everything in more. And that was the last thing. We need to let out our zeal and the colors and the beautiful parts of ourselves. And they don't even always make sense to us, to me. I often think I'm the worst critic. I'm the worst person to try to decide which parts of myself are good and bad. God gave me the whole thing to use, and the people around me are more reliable. Like Darrell is more reliable, or my wife is more reliable, or Indy than me sometimes, because I think, I got to get rid of that part of me, that whatever. And then God's going, no, that's the part of you we need to bring out to the world even more. So let's do the breaths, because we changed them up this morning and it really hit the spot.
I think I realized what the problem is. That camera's higher than that one.
Oh, all right.
Okay.
More on that later. All right. Who is this from?
This is from one of the, I guess you would call ace of spiritual living back in the 70s, Ace Frehley from Kiss.
Known for throwing kisses around. Mwah.
Okay.
All right.
Am I going first?
Yes.
Okay, ready?
Mm-hmm.
This one has an exhale in it, too. Okay. I'm back. Huh. Back in the new thought groove.
I'm back. Huh. Back in the new thought groove.
I'm back. Wait, are you doing it with me?
Yeah. I'm back. Back in the new thought groove. It really is about getting back in the new thought groove.
It is.
By the way, we're out of CHOBO Studios. Indy, how are you doing today, man?
Doing great, loving it.
Are you as excited about seeing Dave? Oh, what do you got there?
Just got an iced coffee. Been enjoying the talk.
What's that fun little cup you're drinking out of?
This is Michigan's Starbucks called the Big B Coffee.
The Big B.
It's amazing.
I got the Bob's Big Boy hat. You got the Big B coffee.
Big B, baby. Yeah.
Quick shout out to Chief Engineer Jeff Comfort on the audio end out in Kansas City, Kansas, because each week
he takes us
right into the comfort zone. Yeah. Do you want to read? Is this short? That little shot in the back with love.
Okay, this is perfect.
And then we're gonna say goodbye for a second and bring David McClure in. But this is a good tool. It really changed me because you were talking about my friend Trinity, and the one thing the good thing I got from what she told me was that sometimes I've been holding other people's negative energy into my life by like getting triggered when someone else isn't being loving or someone else isn't acting the way I think they should. And I've made a habit in the past of taking it personal, being like the prodigal son's brother who stayed at home. I'm doing everything right, and why aren't they going along with it? You know, that type of thing. And I need to let that go. And this tool is really good because the reason I mentioned it will drain my optimism and get me out of the flow, even if everything's going well for me. So this tool right here is a good way. If you're like secretly sensitive like me and you live this stuff, but then you judge others who you think aren't, this is a good tool to let that go. And then we're going to the break and bring in David.
Yes. And this isn't just airy-fairy stuff. I just want to read this little bit.
But we love it, airy and fairy.
This is from a book, The Dynamic Laws of Prosperity by Catherine Ponder. But
ask Jason Stewart, man. He loved it.
Jason Stewart.
Remember when he came on the show?
Okay, you ready? Harvard scientists have discovered that you can actually bombard people, situations, and conditions with love, thereby producing miraculous changes. They predicted that turning love on might soon become a universal prescription for healing the world's ills. There is a practical result-getting power in generating and turning love on. And so there's a man, this is a little story, I'm going to just paraphrase, about a guy who worked in a very difficult situation in a government office, always having to deal with
people complaining.
Irate public people.
Yeah.
And the title's called Shoot Them in the Back with Love. This man has learned that love never fails, and he's always been a positive, joyful guy. That's why this story is in the book. He meets the public with a smile no matter what they do. He continues to be courteous and kind no matter what they say. All the time, he silently affirms divine love is in control and all is well. When people with problems leave him, he says that's when he really lets them have it. He declares, I shoot them in the back with love. Does it pay to shoot people in the back with love? This man claims that the attitude and behavior of many complainants who come to his office seem to change markedly as he affirmed divine love. And I like this idea because it allows me to let go unconditionally. It's a trick for me. It's not malicious in any way. It just allows me to throw that idea of in a humorous way, which already lightens my brain and takes my stress off it.
Right.
But it helps me to unconditionally release that person with a loving idea in my mind. And then that takes you out, it releases me from that. I may have to do it several times, but even the first time I do it, I feel a little like you get a little release from it. So shoot people in the back often with love, of course.
It is transforming my life, man. So coming up next, Dynamite David McClure gets us all envisioning the best outcomes for ourselves with today's reading. Optimistic, thank you for being a part of Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. We are back. Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed. Today's guest is a Unity minister. he really is a big reason why we are here. He introduced Darrell to a lot of these principles. I really think the spirit with which he teaches this stuff to this day is just like we read in the Ernest Holmes reading. When you start with red, it goes through all the different colors you might make out of it. I think David McClure's spirit goes through everything we do on this show. Hopefully he's not offended by that after listening. But he's up in Washington, I believe, right now. How you doing, David?
I'm doing awesome. Thank you, guys. Really appreciated the first half of the program today. You guys hit all the high points, and I'm sure inspired a lot of people with your dialogue and your thoughts and your readings. It was great.
Oh man, thank you for that. Thank you for. Do you have you want to start with the daily word, or you have some thoughts on the subject that you want to share? Jump right into.
I think I'll start right off with the daily word.
Perfect.
Okay, great.
Okay, the word for today is optimistic. And the affirmation is, I greet the good that is on its way to me. I live with an attitude of positive expectancy. I trust the good I seek is on its way. Even though it may not yet be apparent to my eyes, my heart's wisdom guides me to remain open and receptive. I still my mind with affirmation of gratitude and center my attitude, my attention on uplifting thoughts. As I align my heart with the harmony and energy of God, I feel a quiet, serene joy bubbling up within me. I welcome the wonderful outcomes that are unfolding right here and right now. I greet the good that already exists in potential. My optimism helps me envision the best outcomes for myself and for my dear ones. I believe that life is innately good, and I more easily find myself in the right place at the right time. Optimistic and grateful, I welcome the joyful experience that is flowing in and through me now. And our Bible verse comes from Luke 1:37, which says, "For nothing will be impossible with God." And that's the way it is. Nothing will be impossible. And you guys are proof of that. I mean, how long have you been doing this shtick, this radio program?
2013.
Yeah, 10 years ago.
2013. Yeah, I mean, you just you're relentless. You just keep on putting out the good stuff, and people responding to it. So you're true examples of being optimistic and helping other people stay optimistic in spite of what's going on in the world around us.
Well, thank you, but I got to be honest, it's not virtue that we keep at it. It's because we actually feel so much better by doing the show, and then all week thinking about these ideas makes our way so much easier throughout the week. And then after we're done with the show, it's basically like the two of us going to a real good shaman or psychiatrist, and then we get to speak with people like you, and our faith is renewed. I mean, I can honestly say it's a selfish endeavor because of how good we feel from doing it.
Absolutely. And so keep on keeping on doing it, because it's healing for you guys. It's also healing for all those who are listening.
Yeah. It also is kind of interesting that if I feel that the way we approach everything is just by reading this sort of playbook that was laid out by these great truth teachers before us, like yourself and the Fillmores, and whether it's Butterworth or whoever it was, it very specifically states that no matter what is going on in the world, if we just continue to tune into these things, then we will continue to prosper and our relationships will benefit. And it's Yeah, I think it's been helpful to even go through things that I've seen people close to me just throw this stuff out. Like, all right, that was great, but now there's real stuff. Now we gotta, you know what I mean? Now it's time to be mad, or now it's time to judge, or now it's time to believe that we have to be sick, or now whatever it is. Thank God these people wrote about this very stuff, and they were doing it during their own very real stuff, you know? So it's so cool to just, I guess we just dummy down enough to just trust what we're studying, right?
Well, shift happens. You've got to make that shift from what you were just talking about and get back in. Okay, let me get back centered. Let me do the exercise and get still again and recognize that there's a whole other universe that's available to us. And as soon as we direct our attention to it, it benefits us and blesses us.
Wow.
Yeah.
You know what's funny? I just read this somewhere, David, and it said, and it struck me right between the eyes as something very affirming for me. It said, pain is always resistance of a change for the better. Mm-hmm. I go, ooh.
Yeah.
So I'm resisting good, because it went on to say, pain is always resisting good. And that's really what I'm doing when I'm like, I don't want to hear that now. Or it's funny. It really is childish, because when I get into a mood where I'm not feeling good, my mind turns into a little child. If anyone wants to bring comfort to it,
right?
No, I don't want that. Well, then I'm going to stay in that uncomfortable feeling. But I'm a lot quicker, now to just throw in the towel and say, you're right. I got to get out of this, let go, and let the change of good come.
Yeah.
And George Bernard Shaw said something great, because it could be scary when you tune into what's going on around us. And when I was in the military, Mike Dugan, there was stuff going on that was really scary at the time. And Mike Dugan would always say, Darrell, none of this is happening, like he was very firm, none of this is happening to you. It's happening around you. It's like, wow. And George Bernard Shaw said all the way back in his day, he said, you know what the great thing, he goes, you know what the comforting thing is about times like these? There's always been times like these. Which gives me the chills, because it just means we must live by faith.
Yeah.
And the world is continued to evolve for the better. It hasn't de-evolved.
Yeah.
So even though we continue to go through things, our lifestyles have improved. The way we live has improved. Medicine has improved.
Right.
Life longevity. And I mean, things improve.
Yeah.
If you look at the history of the race and the history of the planet. So it's never for the worse. It's always for the better.
Yeah. But to the old ways of thinking, it appears to be going bad, and that's why it shakes everything, because the old ways, every time things change in history, the old ways of thinking we're going to fall off the edge of the earth, this is the end. What gives me a lot of hope right now is that it's funny, when he was younger, he's 20 now, he's doing great, is I noticed how much technophobia there was. Like, the kids on the computers, that's what's going to ruin everything. Now it's like artificial intelligence. But what we don't understand is, like, there's so many things, like when we get our minds together, or enough people do, that we actually want to solve things that are going on right now, like lovingly solution. The technology to regenerate and recreate, and it's powerful, and it's all there, and it's going to transform everything we think of as problems. The next generation is going to be like, that's not even that big a problem. We came in prepared for this. Relax, old man. We got this. There's always been, just like the other day when that parent, it was in the post office, and she's like, they don't make any good music these days. It's all terrible. And I said, spoken like every good parent before you.
Yes. That's true. Yeah. So true.
Yes. So one of the things we love about you, and why the show, the optimism that you have embodied and been living with, like, can you just share from your perspective? Because you just said something that really hit me, which is there's a whole different universe. One, when we live through, see through this lens of unity, and how does that, what does that mean to you, or how do you experience that? How have you experienced that?
Well, I just recently I was watching a documentary on the Webb telescope, James Webb telescope that recently went out into space. They sent it out 1 million miles, turned it around, and it started taking pictures. And the first picture that it took was about 1 million galaxies out there in the outer space. Each one is a galaxy. Each one has planets around it. Each one has a sun. And so, we are sitting on this one little planet and wondering if we're going to continue to live and exist. And there's a whole universe out there. My current name for God is the universe of unlimited possibilities. And as long as we know there's unlimited possibilities, there's no limit to what can be done and will be done through each of us. Yeah.
Wow. What did you call it? Your name for God is? Say that again.
The universe of unlimited possibility.
The universe
of unlimited possibilities.
That's where, David, I think these principles and these morning routine and just thinking for ourselves, because so much of the time, if we look outside, there's 3 different perspectives, and none of them really fit me, right? None of them really. A lot of them's each one is dramatic in its own way. But when I just sit and have my own mind and think about what you just said and the reality through the lens of nothing political, nothing corporate, just wonder of a child, I get excited and I feel that zeal. And I think that is the life force flowing through me. And that is where new ideas come from. And that is where the solutions come from.
Exactly. Yeah. I can hardly wait to see the good that's going to take place in this world and out of it in the days ahead. That's the attitude that I take into it, even at my age. I'm still excited for the possibilities that are available.
That's where we all want to live. I think that's what Darrell was sharing earlier about why we do the show and why we've been doing it for 10 years. I knew that when we saw you today, my whole life was going to be better. My experience of it was going to be better, and it is.
Well, the very first words that I heard in a Unity church, I was 7 years old, sitting in the front row of Unity Church in Toronto, and the young Unity minister got up and said, "There is only one presence, one power, one activity in the universe, God the good, omnipotent. Amen." And he sat down. And, I used to have a license plate when I lived in California, OPOPGGO, which stands for one presence, one power, God the good, omnipotent. And people sometimes would stop me and say, "What does that mean?" And I would get an opportunity to visit with them a little bit. But, we're here to prove that, to be the truth, the whole truth and nothing but the truth.
When that's my intention, it gives me a sense of purpose beyond me trying to figure out, what am I supposed to be doing?
Yeah.
It's so much more, brings so much more life to me. I mean, I got to remind myself of that every morning. I pretty much write the same thing, I think, every morning in my book to encourage myself. Today, this was just today, August 5th. I keep a little journal, as we call them in New Jersey, instead of journal. Today, I embrace the presence of God. I move peacefully, trusting and confidently in love as I ... And then I have my best attempt of what God's will is for me today, my to-do list. But it's every morning I have to remind myself I am committed and delight in practicing the presence of God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, we need to choose. This is something I read, and this kind of goes along with our show. We need to choose love and choose hope. In doing so, we will always be turning our will and life over to the care of our higher power. Whenever it makes it easy for me. So whenever I choose love and hope, I'm with God. I'm one with God.
Mm-hmm.
That's why optimism isn't just Pollyanna.
Mm-hmm.
It's choosing to join forces with that one presence.
Mm-hmm.
Because I have hope that it's working in my life.
Yeah. Yep. And our whole being resonates with it because it's true. That's the beauty of it. That's where my body heals faster, my mind heals faster. I realize that whatever I fearfully thought I had to change was not even real anyway. The meaning of everything that was weighing me down so much about these little things completely evaporates. And now God's law of adjustment comes through. And it's real.
It really is.
Well, the Bible says choose. If you know the truth sets you free. So that's all we're here to do, is to know the truth under any and all conditions, no matter what they may be, no matter what the appearance may be. The medicine is know the truth, and you're free to see the possibilities in the situation at that point on. So there you go.
To know the truth. Yeah. Yeah. And if it's not the truth that feels good and sets you free, then go make sure you keep looking.
Well, usually if it's not
That's true.
Usually if it's not the truth, it feels bad.
Yeah.
When I'm thinking worry, concern, controlling thoughts, trying to figure it out. That's a sign it's not the truth.
Sometimes we got to be like Jesus, though, and hop in our car or go somewhere alone because the people.
Yeah. Oh no,
absolutely.
Oh yeah. No, absolutely.
Yeah.
You're allowed.
Even if one of the tires is a little flat.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, we call that tuck and roll to save the soul.
Yes.
You're allowed to excuse yourself, folks. You don't have to stay. You're allowed to say, "Oh, we got to go now."
Right.
You're allowed to. I didn't know that. I thought you had to stick it out.
Yeah.
Especially if I mistakenly thought if something felt bad, then it was my duty to endure it. Like I thought that's not it.
Oh my God. Believe me, I'm a recovering addict to that whole
enduring?
state of mind. Endurance addict.
You have high endurance.
Oh, dude, my family, that's part of they hand that down. Here's your.
It's
or they try to. I just don't want it
It's
anymore.
being a martyr.
Yeah.
It's being the prodigal son that stayed at home. It's horrible.
Isn't that the way my mother says mother? Marta?
Martyr.
My mom's so funny. She's from New York. And she still talks like she was there 44 years ago when we moved here. But the other day she said, "Oh, your nephew's coming to California and he's going to go see Bobby." And it took my wife, my wife and I took 2 minutes before we realized she was talking about the movie Barbie because she said Bobby.
But you know what's funny? This is how weird it is. She'll call Barbie Bobby, but when she says Bobby, she'll say Barbie.
I know.
So she could say the words, but.
Yeah, it's wild. But you know what? It's 11:56. David
We gotta go. We got a little story.
I got a really random question for you. Did you know Martha Guidici by any chance, David McClure from Unity?
No, the name does not ring a bell.
I just happened to find this truthunity.net pamphlet or flyer that Mark sent to us. She has this is something everyone can enjoy. She has a program called Why Not Be Rich. I mean, it's like a older
from years ago.
Yeah,
years ago.
If you go to truthunity.net/why-not or why, what is that slash? That little line
Dash.
right. Why-not-be-rich question mark. Just go to truthunity.net, look up Why Not Be Rich. But this thing has a bunch of affirmations on it.
Read
and it goes with what I'm just going to read a few because it goes with this show. Number 1, it is my Father's good pleasure to give me the kingdom of all good. Number 2, prosperity is spiritual. Spirituality, when practiced with the truth, prospers you. Number 3.
Yes, of course it does.
I am the rich child of a loving father, and I dare to prosper now, from Catherine Palander.
Yes.
Number 4, God is the source of a mighty stream of substance. I am its channel of expression. That's 2 parts that's so healthy.
Yeah.
1, that God is the source, and 2, I can actually be the channel, and we are worthy of being that channel. So, and I am prepared for unlimited increase of good now.
It's the Father's good pleasure to give us the kingdom, and it's our good pleasure to receive it.
Yes.
Amen.
Amen.
Well, we got a little story here, David, from when you were a brand new Unity minister. I don't know if you remember it or not, but we're going to remind you of it.
Let's see if
ready?
you've heard it. You remember the story.
Go
When
for
David
it.
McClure was a young minister, he was quite cocksure. One day he came across some boys sitting on the grass. In the middle of the group was a dog. The boys looked like they were up to something, so David asked them what it was.
This dog is an old neighborhood stray. We all want to keep him, so we are having a contest to see who could tell the biggest lie. The winner gets to keep the dog.
A contest. You could tell the biggest lie. Winner gets to keep the dog. David was shocked.
Oh, that is terrible. You boys should not be encouraging one another to lie. Lying is a sin. When I was your age, I never told a lie.
The boys looked at one another. All of them slowly nodded. David felt like his words were really sinking in until the smallest of the boys shrugged and said,
All right, mister, you win. You can have the dog.
That's a good story. I'll have to remember it for next time I'm up in the pulpit.
There you go.
Actually, we'll text it to you so you'll have it.
Okay.
Yeah. Well,
All right, you guys.
David.
I'm gonna see you again on the next time.
Yeah,
Yes.
thanks
Take it
for
easy.
gracing us, man. We love you.
All right, and always tell the truth.
You
Yes,
got it.
sir.
Bye-bye.
Bye. So the good news about having David McClure on, just like Steve Wynn would say,
We're
back in the high life again. All the doors we closed one time are open up again.
Visit DarrellandEd.com to find easy links to
The
everything
universe
we
of
do.
unlimited possibilities.
And thank you for being a part of Funniest Thing with Darrell and Ed.
We're back in the high life again. All the eyes that's watching us now smile and take us in. Yeah. Woo!